Patrick, what are we drinking today? And who is this random person who has Zoom bombed us?
Who is Soju? And who is
Today
the king
we
of
are
Soju?
today we are drinking what is soju.
We are
$5.
drinking what is soju? It's called soju.
We're drinking soju today. I have a lovely bottle from Jinro here with green grape flavoring. I know that there are some of us that have not tried this yet, but we've brought in a resident expert to help us out today. Our boss? No, our co-creator, our collaborator,
Our podcast
the
daddy.
king, the podcast king, Jerry Wan. Hey, Jerry.
Ain't nobody's daddy except my kids. But thank you guys. It's a pleasure to be here. First time officially appearing on the show. So I just want to share with you guys have heard it, but publicly, bringing you guys together as a byproduct of the work that I started with the Asian Americans makes everything that I have done and will do going forward worthwhile. So this has been amazing to witness you guys coming together. And I think it was on a call with you, Patrick, and it was just like, why don't we just fucking start a show with you guys? And I just said it. And here we are like a month later, actually recording episodes and, having a lot of fun and knowing that these short conversations that we have on a weekly basis will help younger versions of all of us feel more connected to not only our culture, but with each other and learn more about ourselves. So thank you guys for jumping on and never saying no to any of my crazy ideas, including drinking on TV, as they say. This is not, there's actual soju in here. There's no water, right? So on TV, you'll
see the proof in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
No hiding that business.
No.
Wait, is there hiding that business?
Well, I don't know.
My white parents, the first time I had alcohol in front of them, they said, my dad was like, "Did you get some sun?" I was like, "No, I just had some alcohol." He was like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah." So then later that Christmas, I became the party trick of my family. They was like, "Hey, KJ, go drink some red wine." So I did. And then behind me, they were like, "Yo, watch when he drinks. It gets super red." I'm like, okay. Guys. Take it easy.
Everyone's just cameras out.
Dance.
Wow.
Yeah. My parents didn't know
That's
either.
hilarious.
Yeah, they said the same thing. They always thought it was a sunburn. So I'm like, yes, it was. That's exactly what it is.
Some people take Pepsid AC to avoid that now.
Yeah, you can take the Pepsid AC, but it doesn't really work for me. I don't know. And like I told Patrick earlier, there's only certain types of alcohol that will make me red. So I don't get the Asian glow on everything.
So I don't really know. I think all of us are trying soju for the first time. Is that right? Did I say that
Nathan's
right?
had it.
I've
Nathan
had it. Too many times.
Right. Too many times. Okay,
I
so
only have it at Korean barbecues, though. So it's typically the place that I have it.
Well, you said your love of Korean barbecue, so that makes me think you do have it a lot.
Yes. I ordered a bottle once by myself, and the lady looked at me thinking, "No, you're supposed to share this." And I'm like, "Oh, really? What?"
So I just I was as I was looking up things about soju, I came across something I thought was really interesting. I was looking up how do you drink soju? What's the traditional way? And I typed that into Google, and here's what I got. The very first thing, it says soju is best served ice cold, neat, as a small pour in a chilled traditional cup over and over again until the Samsung executive hosting you pulls out his corporate credit card. Does that sound right? Does that sound accurate?
Yes.
Everything until the Samsung executive part.
Okay.
But whether it is a Samsung executive or not, part of our culture is, generally the oldest or the most senior person pays, and by, I guess, transitive property or whatever, like at some point, like you've paid enough times and you've received enough if it all works in your favor because you're young at some points and you're old at other points. But yeah, Samsung, I think they changed it now, but they used to be very, very famous and notorious for their expense policy where their like cash compensation wasn't that great for their people. But like the Samsung expense card was like how many businesses probably sustained themselves through decades of operation because they just paid for everything.
All right. I have a question. So having not been of drinking age when hanging out with Asians and now being around no Asians, but also of being drinking age, it's real unfortunate. So I was talking with my Hmong brother in college, and he was like, "Yeah, so for us, you just like everybody gets together and you all take a shot together. So it's really best if your whole party arrives because if somebody arrives late, then everybody has to take on their shots. If you have a party of 7, and it's 2 of you, and then the other 5 come in later, then by the time of it, you're like 6 shots deep. Is that true for Korean drinking culture, or is it just like, no, just do it and drink however you want?
I think there are. I don't know about the. I don't know if there's a custom or a rule for like order of operation, or as people join. I'm sure there are. Um, but there are certain. I don't want to say rules, but customs, particularly depending on who you're drinking with. So obviously, age is a big thing in our culture. So for example, if you're taking a drink from or getting a drink poured by somebody older than you, you take it with 2 hands,
Oh,
and
you receive with 2 hands.
you receive with 2 hands
Oh.
like this.
Okay, and he gives you a very sloppy one-handed pour, right? Because
You
he.
could, and I don't know how scientific this is, and I'll lean back for it, but there is this notion that the more respect you have, the closer your hands go. And so when you have no hands, it's not a matter of respect, but it's familiarity. And so there's a way to like take it like this, which is sort of like your closer in age. But if it's like super mega respect, then you take it, sort of with the one hand underneath. And when you take it, because it is considered rude for an older person to see you drink head on, you're supposed to tilt your head, sort of cover your glass with your hand, and drink almost in secret.
Interesting.
I'm sure that goes out the window as you get messed up, as you drink more.
Sure.
But that is one of the few things. And yeah, and so, I think, but as with a lot of things like customs and drinking culture and stuff like that, it has evolved. And, um, my knowledge is also, as a Korean American, thing that I learned here, hanging out with people in Koreatown, obviously. I actually used to do some marketing for a soju company.
Holla.
This great and amazing soju company, for in a past part of my life. Shout out to Jinro and Team Adwell. But yeah, there's a lot of little tiny rules, but in all, you're right. Um, this is a soju glass that is provided by the manufacturer, provided by the brand, and there are 7 shots of these in a traditional bottle that is 375 milliliters. And another fun fact about those 2 numbers is that it makes it really easy to order another bottle, whether you're drinking with 2, 3, or 4 people. You always run out, and that's intentional, so that you always order more, so that nobody is feeling left out without a glass.
Because you all have to drink together.
Correct, because it's usually the oldest person pouring, and you never say no to the older person. So
Wow.
it makes for really, yeah. So if you're the youngest person or whatever, and again,
So Koreans just have built-in yes and culture.
there's
The
not
oldest
even-
person is like, "We getting sloppy tonight." He's like, "Yes and." Okay,
no, it's
here we
not
go.
even a yes and. I don't think you even get to the and. You just say yes.
Yeah, the youngest person just has to do everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
So-
but you have to be like alert enough to like take care of the old dudes when they pass out.
So you're
So-
also the DD.
Yeah, I mean, not quite that. I mean, nobody should drink,
Yeah.
but like you got to take care of shit, right? Like so, it's really, and then I guess even in America, in the Korean American culture, like some of these things exist, and there's no like forced drinking is obviously bad because you should not make people drink beyond what they're comfortable with. But I've drank in other very traditional climates or instances where it's like, whoa, like this is pretty intense. We used to drink with the country leader or the country president of Jinro's America office, and like obviously, if you work at the soja company and you're senior enough to be like the guy that runs the U.S. operations for a time,
Yeah.
like you drink, and it is your job.
You probably know how
It is your
to
job.
drink.
It's literally your
You go
job
hard
to
in the
drink.
paint.
Hopefully, you can hold your alcohol too.
Yeah. So,
Well, you probably already hired someone older than you too, so they'll always be pouring for you. So that way you never have to do any of it. You just make the money and then drink.
But
Just
yeah,
casually
it
drinking
is-
indie under the table.
Yeah, it is fun. As Nathan mentioned earlier, it is sort of what people think about instinctively when they think about Korean food and Korean barbecue, and I think much more so than typical American culture where you order your own cocktail that is different, perhaps different than everybody else's, and you're consuming it one by one. Like when you go to a Korean barbecue, it's literally like soju and beer, and
Mhm.
those are, now it's
That's
different
it.
again. I'm talking
Sure.
more traditional sense, but that's it. You get two choices. There are brands within each, but you get soju or beer, and it's all communal, right? So, you don't get, if you go to a Korean restaurant and you order a bottle of beer, height preferably, you don't get a 12-ounce bottle. You get like a 20, or you get a big 750 milliliter bottle, and they give you a couple glasses. So even beer is meant to be shared amongst, because every part of the Korean food experience is to be shared, right?
Right.
There's really very few things that are actually individual. So that bleeds into drinking culture where, and very rarely, and the reason why like paying for everybody makes sense is because since nobody orders for themselves, even if you Dutch pay, like how do you divide that, right? Unless you go
Right.
straight down the middle or something. So anyway, there's a lot of fun stuff, and I really wish that we were drinking in person.
Yeah, what I'm hearing you say is we shouldn't have bought this, and you're going to take a drink and then going to mail it to us, and then we'll take, and that way we're not drinking alone.
No. But it's and there's a lot of like little known things that again, depending on how hardcore you are in the cultural sense. Again, I think with most Korean Americans, we've I don't want to say evolved, but have
Adapted.
adapted and made our own Korean American versions of it. But for example, I'm gonna bust out another shot glass here, but even little things like,
Double fisting.
let's say like this is the older person's
The
shot glass,
toast.
and this is the
Yes.
older person's shot glass. When you cheers, like this line should always be under this line, right?
Yeah.
So even little things like that, you have to be always paying attention to stuff like this as you're drinking, because
It's respect.
it's
Yeah.
respect.
Yeah.
And again, I
To
think
have
most
your
people
glass older, like
Yeah.
to have the younger glass above the older glass.
I
So-
learned
so-
that
so they,
in
they
Korea.
just get a little extra
with
just
my
in
so,
case.
so, so the
family.
height, yeah.
Yeah.
So my social standing is represented by my height when we clink.
Yeah.
And so if you're the younger person, you always just edge for you always aim for the
Yeah.
bottom. And
And I
sort
made
of with
that
like
mistake.
a head down.
And they made fun of me about
Yeah,
it
see,
because
so it's
I
like
didn't
these
know.
things, right? And
Yeah.
Interesting.
and so here's a silly part. Like maybe there's YouTube videos now about this stuff, but like for the longest time, you just learn by drinking, and like older brothers or your dads or your uncles, like you learn. And so drinking age is 19 in Korea, which is a little bit
Okay.
younger than in here, and you don't turn older technically legally on your birthday. Everybody turns older on January 1st.
Right.
So
Yeah.
a funny scene to see in Korea is that on New Year's Eve, there's a shit ton of there's people lining out the bar at 11:30, and at the stroke of
Yes.
midnight, they
Oh
go
my
in and
gosh.
they get wasted.
19.
That's awesome.
And it's 19 Korean age, so like in US age, they're probably like 18-ish,
Yeah.
depending on when your birthday is, right? But yeah, let's stop talking and take a drink.
Yeah, my bottle's
And-
getting sweaty. So
This is why I drink with people younger than me, so I can always
And
be on top.
I'm gonna crack my bottle right here next to the microphone, so we get the
Ooh, yeah.
I'm doing mine too.
yeah. So
I'm
let's
just doing
talk
it 'cause
about
I have
let's talk
to.
about the different bottles we're drinking.
Woo! Baby.
I am drinking normal cooling filtering system, no flavor. It's just the hardcore 19.5% alcohol.
All right, so
Yeah,
let's
sweet
cheers.
smelling.
I'm going to
And,
hardcore
and
stuff
make
here,
sure
I
that
guess.
everybody's shot glass is below Nathan's because he's the older Papa Bear.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Alright.
he is Papa Bear.
All right.
Where is
they're
my-
at the very bottom of the screen.
Yeah, there's mine.
Doing
Come
clink.
back.
Come back.
Come back.
Come back.
Oh, I forgot to put mine in the fridge, so it tastes.
Okay,
Excellent.
that tasted
Mine
like
tastes pretty
grape
smooth.
Kool-Aid. I'm about to chug
is
this whole bottle. Are you
so
kidding me?
sweet. I
That
am
is
in
good.
danger.
Oh, so
This
hang,
is
hang on.
delicious.
KJ, show us
KJ's
your
found
bottle.
a new one. Yeah.
Yeah,
KJ, show us your
so-
bottle and tell us what you're drinking.
Yeah.
You're
This
drinking.
is Jinro's strawberry flavor. The Korean says dalkie isu. So I'm assuming that means strawberry.
Dalgi is strawberry, and Izu
There you
is a
go.
play on their main brand, which is chamisul. What about you, Patrick?
All right.
Oh, my stomach feels
Jinro,
warm. This is
the
good.
green grape. I don't know
So
how to say
Jinro
that
made
in
these
Korean.
new fruit flavors very recently. I'm gonna bust out
Oh,
because I always have 3 bottles of soju on my bookcase just in case.
Is it disrespectful to just drink from the bottle? Is that disrespectful?
It's not
Do you
disrespectful.
just
It's probably
look
not.
like an alcoholic?
No,
Oh, I was
gonna
it's
say,
probably not
It's so
advised.
good. This is
It's
only
probably just not
13%
sanitary,
alcohol.
is
So.
what it is.
It's probably not advised. And you know, it's actually funny. So when you ask Korean folks like what your tolerance is, in the general sense of like, and people ask this very bluntly, like, how much can you drink? What like, and they answer in bottle counts. Like, oh, I can do,
Whoa.
so I can do about half a bottle. Or like,
Wow.
Okay.
you know, like if you want to flex, you're like, no, I can do 3 bottles. Obviously, it has a lot of different components of like, under what circumstance, what you're eating,
Yeah.
are you tired, you know, how quickly, all these things. So I have one of these. It looks old school. So this is not a green bottle; it's a bluish tint.
Mhm.
And it's the retro but new 2020 Jinro is back bottle, and it's got the
Okay.
old school toad on here. And apparently, this is like all the rage in Korea, and
Wow.
they brought it over here to the States a couple months ago.
Because of the labeling? It's because
It's
old
just
school?
something, yeah. You know,
like
I
a
think
Coke
it's
classic?
nostalgic play.
It's
Yeah,
like when Miller went back to their like kind of
Yeah.
classic look.
yeah,
Cool.
and I think
It's
it
like
was
a water bottle.
it's a nostalgic play.
It does. It looks like a sparkling water.
Yeah,
kind of
I
thing.
mean,
Yeah.
take that
Yeah,
to
I
the
think
beach.
even-
Tastes
Everyone
like a
will know.
sparkling water.
Even my bottle has the little toad just in the top right
Yeah,
corner.
the little toad. So I'm gonna open up my grapefruit because
Mm,
Oh yeah, right.
that
Okay.
sounds good.
Wait,
I'm-
so
I'm
I was about
jealous
to
of
pour
all your
myself some
flavors.
more, but is the alcohol
Alright.
content like per shot?
what do you mean?
Like is it, like 13%
Ganbei.
per shot? So if I just
No,
I mean it's
the-
relative. So
it's
every-
relative to how many you have in
Yeah.
a duration of time.
Yeah, but I mean
That
like if
tastes
you're
great.
trying to measure that out, like is it like
I mean, so I would say like on the how like what is it, like the beer per hour or like a shot of liquor
Yeah,
per
yeah.
hour,
Oh yeah.
so you don't whatever like DUI level.
yeah.
I'd probably say like relative to soju, like 2 to 3 shots per hour would
Mm.
keep you under 0.08 BAC if this was like beer and like, because like if this is
Okay.
about 20%, it's like half a vodka, and so that's like half a shot. Although these are much more than an ounce, so like when you drink, have I ever drank soju at that pace? No. You're generally eating right
Yeah.
with other
Right.
people in a festive and conversational mood,
That's a good point.
and so and
Just
soju is one of these
balances
weird
out.
things that actually doesn't hit you hard until you stand up.
Getting the shrimp
yeah.
crackers.
Yeah,
I lose track because I'm always eating so much at the Korean
Yeah.
barbecue. I don't
Okay.
remember how many
Right.
shots I've had because I'm usually also doing both soju and beer, as
Right.
Jerry was saying.
and so when you
Oh,
mix,
really?
Yeah.
it's called somek, soju, so for soju, mek for mekju, and
Okay.
I don't have any of these glasses, but this was one of the fun projects that I worked on at the agency when I was marketing these things. There's like a perfect ratio of soju and beer, so it's like a like a soju bomb basically,
Right.
right? You mix soju with beer, and those things get you messed up super quick because you're
Because you usually chug
drinking
them,
large
too.
quantities, right? Of
I like
mixed
beer.
stuff.
And I really
Um,
like this soju, so let's go ahead and make that the next thing we do.
Yeah,
So
I'm excited
we-
to try
All
Korean
right,
beer.
let's get some hype beer for next
We-
one.
We get some hype beer.
Yeah,
And we Height actually is very popular here. It's a very
Oh,
light
yeah.
beer, and they've served it at stadiums. They sponsored the Dodgers when Hyunjin Ryu was here, so you could have actually had Korean beer
that's
at an
cool.
American
Yeah.
baseball stadium, which is super cool.
yeah. They always
Oh,
sponsored
great.
collaboration. I feel they were always
Yeah.
all over that. So
Yeah,
I've had it enough times too.
This
but
is so good.
we
I
used
don't
to
even like sweet stuff that much.
actually,
but-
I don't even
I know,
know
that's how I
another
feel about mine.
Korean beer company now that I think about it. What's the other?
there's
Is there
a
another
few.
one?
There's OB.
OB, yeah, I've seen
yeah.
that.
OB
I haven't
is
had it.
Stands for Oriental Brewery. Even though we don't like using the
Oh.
word the O word here in the States, they've continued to use it there. And then Kas is another one that's very popular. But yeah, so there's as far as soju, Chamiso, which is a brand under Jinro, is likely the most popular brand, and
Is
they
that
have a
the one
lot of
I
different
have?
brand extensions. No,
Mhm.
you have one called Cham,
Chamsun.
which is a different brand, Chamsun.
Oh, okay.
Similar, but not the same company.
Hmm.
Chomcharam is probably the second most popular, and
Hmm.
depending on what segment, or I guess as a brand or as a company, Jinro is the world's best selling brand of liquor or spirits as they call it. But it's I think similar to when Americans do like the blind beer taste test. Like it's very hard to tell under a blindfold like what soju is what.
Oh, bad.
Because it's weird if you talk to a lot of folks who drink this regularly, it's like it tastes different by the bottle, it tastes different under the circumstance. Um, but yeah, I know I'm sure you guys have talked about it on the air, but I can't wait for COVID to be over. Just because there's two of us here,
We get to
and
go to Korean barbecue.
we are going to
together.
have a lot. This is what I want to do, and I'm going to commit myself to doing this as we're taping. We're going to have a live streamed Janchi Boys mukbang drinking party.
Hell
And then
yeah!
whoever wants to come and join us, if you're in the LA area, we'll take out a whole restaurant, right? Like we
Yeah.
have some friends that own restaurants and stuff out here, and I think it'd be fun. Bring
be
your
amazing.
wives. Patrick, maybe by then you'll be married, depending on how quickly we get through this
Depending on how
pandemic or
long this
not.
goes.
Pandemic lasts.
Soju
I
Man, I
mean-
want to make sure Soju Man is there as well.
I mean, I wonder
Only
where
if
Soju
it's
Man
actually
is.
Jerry.
Ooh.
Hey, so talk to me about born 1907 2019. Obviously, it follows day, month, year.
Mhm.
Is that like an expiration date? And then how do you know
I
if
think-
when it expires? Is that specific to Jinro bottles or like alcohol, or is that like how Korea does? They don't do best by dates; they do born dates.
I don't think
That is
soju
interesting.
expires because people probably drink it.
Sure.
It is-
They're like, oh, we don't have to worry about that. It'll be gone.
I would say that it is a marketing tool, whether it is regulatorily required or not. But sort of like I think Bud had like the born on dates for a little bit. But it's just to tout like how fresh it is, right? Like from the distillery to your mouth, it's only been in the bottle for X number of days. I'm looking at my my Jinro Isback bottle, the blue one. I don't see a date. I do have one here on my grapefruit. This one's been alive for about a year and a half.
I thought it meant that you had to be born by that date just to be able to drink it.
like a 1.5-year-old
What?
can drink this.
What?
Come on,
Go
Patrick.
nuts, baby! Literal baby.
Literal
No.
baby. Just kidding. We don't condone infancy drinking.
We're gonna get shut down. No more Janchi Show.
Man, this really makes me want Korean barbecue while I'm drinking this, though.
Oh, we've had.
Yeah.
Have you guys had, or Nathan rather, have you done it at home with like a tabletop grill and stuff?
Yeah, not yet. I have the griddle that I was going to use for it. I don't have any other good cooking stuff for it. But during the pandemic, when the restaurants were actually closed, and they didn't have dining in the outside area, one of the Korean barbecues nearby in Fullerton was actually doing take-home Korean barbecue. So there would be the raw meat cut up and ready for you to start grilling, and you go buy it by the pound. We never got around to doing it, and then they stopped doing it because they opened up, and now they back to, they actually ended the take home portion of it. But don't laugh. I did buy bulgogi from Costco recently.
Oh, really?
Ooh.
There you
And
go.
they had a giant, I don't know how many pounds it was. It was huge though. And it was really, really good. I think that served us at least 3 meals.
Man.
But it was pretty tasty. And so that's the closest thing I've had to Korean barbecue lately.
Was it just like unmarinated brisket from the butcher part, or was it?
It was
branded?
all marinated. So it was brisket
Oh,
plus the
nice.
marinade and some onions thrown in there too. And so then
Nice.
all you had to do was just dump it into your wok and then just fry it
Yeah.
up. And it was very
Yo.
tasty. I made
Understandably, I
content.
get very suspect when I see Korean food at non-Korean establishments, but
Like Target.
Like Target? Who would ever get stuff from Target for Korean food?
Right?
I don't know who
the
would do that.
desperate.
But
at least
yeah.
it's packaged. But like you go to some of these like restaurants and like Korean-inspired chicken, and you're like, we don't do chicken, right? Like, I mean, we do like chicken wings and stuff, but like,
Right.
Like, what's the inspiration? Like, how was this
right.
inspired by Korea?
right? Like, is there like just a dab of gochujang in there? And like, I have no idea. But I'm glad we're culturally not only popular, but we've become like an aspirational brand for people to put something Korean on their menu and like
They're like,
you
you
know.
like K-pop, you
Yeah.
like Korean inspired chicken.
I think it also goes to show you like when I was growing up, and I'm sure other people like I think the part of maybe there's some adopted kids today that find it easier to connect with their culture because it is around more. And obviously, with the internet, you can connect more digitally, like we're trying to do with this show.
Yeah.
Because food is really the thing that really brings us together, right? So,
Yeah, food and language,
Yeah.
I feel like are always
Yep.
the quickest entry way into a culture.
Definitely.
Are we doing a third shot? Is that
Am
what
I-
I just
oh,
saw?
this-
I haven't
was
been
my third
shooting
one.
mine. I've been sipping mine. So
this is the
yeah.
This is the back end
But-
of my back half of my second shot. So,
Okay.
I had this
So I
much
was like,
gone. I don't know if that means anything.
and mine's see
two
so
shots.
there you can see that's how much I've drank. So-
Oh.
Although, don't you have like the 700
I do. I have the 700
Dude,
milliliter one.
You have
so-
as much gone visually, but your bottle is twice as large.
So
Yeah.
I'm the
Yes.
elder. I've got
No
the
one goes
experience.
around. Oh my gosh. I'm sitting here with my second shot. I'm like, I'm feeling it.
I
my
can
face
see
is
your
very
redness
red.
coming through. Too.
I wasn't going to say anything,
Alright,
but it is a little bit red.
I
was
haven't
going to ask if you
eaten
got
dinner
some sun.
yet. It's,
Nate
It's
has
this
got
lamb.
older kids. He got permission to drink.
Yeah,
Why
I don't
did you
even have
drink?
kids.
It was part of our job.
exactly. Sorry.
They made me do it.
But
So for the
That's
guys who
fantastic.
started I mean, I guess fruit soju or fruit flavored soju isn't the first. I guess you'll have to drink the
it's not the OG.
yeah, it's
Yes.
the OG version.
the cool.
And then there's some
filtering.
other ones like the original Jinro brand is 24% alcohol, so it's definitely more bitter.
The OJ.
Yeah, and that's like stronger, and
Oh,
you can't drink more of it, as much of it as possible.
Yeah.
But I feel like in the soju wars, like every company is trying to make it more appetizing for a wider variety of people to drink.
Mhm.
And I guess to be blunt, from a marketing perspective, they wanted to make it more palatable for
For
women to drink.
Americans.
No, for women to
Oh.
drink
Okay.
because
So what you're saying is this strawberry soju that I'm drinking is the White Claw.
no, it's not the White Claw.
I mean, I get down
No.
with White Claw. I'm about that life, so I don't mind at all.
I mean, but imagine, I mean, and so before the companies actually started making these, flavored sojus for the masses, like restaurants, bars, and cafes would make their own. Like, like yogurt soju was a thing that was very popular. And so what they would do is just take a bottle of soju and put a bunch of, Korean yogurt to make it super, can't taste the alcohol. And then you drink that, and then, it's a terrible night or a good night, however you look at it.
Is that the Korean version of a Jello shot?
Pretty much.
Kind
but-
of.
Okay.
But Korean yogurt is so sweet that if you mix it, like you barely taste the alcohol. And there's different ways to do it. Another fun way to eat soju is they make soju infused watermelon.
Whoa.
What?
Nice.
I've never
Yeah.
seen that.
So they cut a hole in the watermelon.
Yup.
They put a soju bottle upside down,
Huh.
and so the water of the watermelon becomes
It's just
Soju water.
Whoa.
And
You
then
guys have never
you cut
made
it open
a
and then
vodka
you eat
watermelon
it.
before?
I've done the
Pretty-
vodka
yeah.
ones. Same
yeah.
thing, but
So there's a lot of different
Huh.
ways to drink
raised
soju. but-
very conservatively.
yeah.
Yeah, that was
Not
a
where you
college
start,
thing
it's
for
how you-
sure.
It's not how
It
you
is.
start.
I'm
KJ, it's
older
how
than
you end
21
up.
though, so yeah.
So this
game.
show is
I'm
now
ready to catch
starting
up.
to.
This is
Wh-
KJ
why-
plays catch up on
Why,
drinking.
why did you have
culture.
to qualify the age, man? We assumed you were 21.
That would be a good segment name.
No, I said I'm
KJ
over
catches
21
up.
now.
Yeah, catches-
Yeah.
KJ catches-
Yeah.
We're broadening your culture right now.
Yeah.
This is all part of it. So
Are there?
Well, nobody talks about like Korean drinking culture on all of like it's talk to me in Korean. No, speedy Korean. No, any Korean you learn in school. No, this is real life, man. It's what I'm about.
Yeah, but it's a very, very integral part of socializing within the Korean context, and some of it is toxic. I must admit, right? Especially when it comes to professional drinking. Again, the culture is changing and has changed, but back in the day, it was just often assumed that you drink for work. 회식 is company dinner, 회 for 회사 and 식 for food, like, and so it's like, hey, we're gonna go out, and there was a point, whether it was actually mandatory or the junior people felt it was mandatory for the betterment of the advancement of their careers, that they never said no. And when you do that on a night to night basis, you're still expected to get your ass up to go to work. But this was really, an unfortunate part of the culture that I hope is getting better. not so much in the Korean American context. I'll share a story. Like when we did marketing for the soju people, we worked for an agency, not actually for the brand, but they were the biggest client. They also happened to be in the same office building. So from time to time, we would get the call around 11:30 saying, "Hey, you guys want to go to lunch?" And we're like, "Oh shit." For the first few times, it was cool because it's like, "Oh my god, I'm getting paid to drink. This is great." And and the guy, Mr. Lee, he had just one thing because he was always thinking about marketing and branding, right? Which was one, any bottle we finish has to stay on the table so that as people walk by, there'd be like a mass gathering of green bottles and they'd be like, "Yo, who the hell are those guys drinking at lunch?" And it would spark a conversation. And one of the most gangster things that I saw him do was he'd go to tables that was drinking our competitor stuff and he'd go, "I'll pay for your dinner if you start drinking ours."
Oh, dang.
Nice.
Wow.
And if who's
Mr.
gonna say
Lee.
no,
Yeah.
right? Like,
That's balling. That is balling right there.
But similar to the Samsung expense card, he had the Jinro expense card,
That's awesome.
and a part of it comes back into his pocket because he's buying his own stuff, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
And then so, that was
Genius.
10 years
Genius.
ago, when I was much younger, much more single, and not a father. So those were some good times.
I bet.
Getting super nostalgic.
Also,
now.
where you're at
Well,
now is
we can
good
cheers to
times,
that,
Jerry,
to the good
right?
times.
Just a different area.
It's a
of
different good.
times.
It's still
different
good, though.
It is, and I heard that you guys are going to do a nightlife or like Korean drinking culture, nightclub experience conversation one of these days.
Yep.
One of these days,
Yeah, I
I think.
also heard that just now, so that's exciting.
I had also heard that before.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, there are probably some stories that I can safely share now.
Jerry's
that
like,
I'm-
please get me out of here.
No,
I need to.
No, I
I
was
need to
gonna say,
relive my.
no, it's it's all in the past, right? Before
It's about to
happily
be in the
married with
future.
2 kids.
This is all just history.
It's
and
a circle
It's about to be
education.
back to the
This is
future.
for the good of
This is
everyone
KJ catches
listening.
up, yo.
Yeah.
KJ catches up.
That's what today's episode is.
Yeah.
KJ catches up.